Welcome back to another episode of Any Time is Good with me, Pastor Jeff, and I am blessed with the opportunity to be able to speak with someone who I'm not going to try to, make it where it's something where there's any pressure. This individual is smarter than me, knows church stuff more than me,
Aw.
and is definitely nicer than me. All of these things. So I don't know why the individual agreed to do this, probably out of the kindness or if they lost a bet or what have you. But it's also you will see the first, and not by design. So I want to put that out there, but the first female to
And
be
beardless.
on,
Beardless.
yes, beardless. Yeah, I half expected you to have like a fake
I thought
beard.
about it. I really did. I was
Uh,
thinking about it.
yeah. So Pastor Shelley Nelson Bridger, friend from seminary down at Trinity Lutheran Seminary, graduated the same year, and she serves an amazing ministry at UpCam, United Protestant Campus Ministries, that serves Case Western, Cleveland State, and Tri-C, all downtown. So I'm thankful, Shelley, that you are here. And
Happy to be here.
yeah,
Yeah.
fantastic. You're going to get 6 questions, just like everybody else. 6 questions. You are on Ex Cathedra. That's going to pop up. For anybody who watches all the way to the end, I highly suggest that you do that because Shelley knows how to juggle chainsaws, and she's going to give a
Wow.
quick
Yeah.
demo,
Mhm.
just a quick demo.
Right.
So, all right. So, question number 1. Are you ready for the first one?
I think so.
Okay.
This feels like a game show. Okay.
Yeah. You can't lose, but you don't win anything either. So it's like the worst.
Grace. You've already won. Jesus has already won grace for
There you go. See, she's smarter than me. Works theology into stuff. All right. So, do you think? And I'm not going to say you're speaking for all women, but I probably will put on the screen.
I cannot speak for all women.
Do you think that there are gifts that women bring to ordained ministry that men might not be able to bring to ministry?
Well, I'm a big believer and advocate of talking about spiritual gifts, how everyone's been gifted with spiritual gifts, and everyone receives a measure of each one. Yet certainly like life experience, just kind of how people are hardwired, like their talents and interests lend them to explore different gifts. I was thinking about this in staffing situations. Sometimes it's easier for women to come to women and men to come to men. I think women have, like through scripture and like through the history of the church, we have faced challenging circumstances to like find a place to be shared. I do want to say that, I'm very aware that I'm not who people expect to show up in a room. And I had a really dear colleague, like early on in my ministry, say, just go and surprise them. And at first I didn't really appreciate that, but it was like the best advice.
Do you think, when, at least in my experience, looking at congregations, a lot of the members of congregation, most of the people that do 80% of the work in a congregation, in my experience, have been women. So I think that there is something to say, well, all right, you have all of these capable, gifted women doing all these amazing ministries. It doesn't make sense to me. It probably doesn't to you either, how any denomination can say, you can do all of these great things, but you're missing that Y chromosome, so you can't do this one thing. I mean, that's insane.
That is challenging. I'm grateful to be in a denomination that affirms women's the opportunity for women to serve in all forms, on all levels of leadership. One really cool thing about serving here in Cleveland, the ecumenical campus ministry that I serve, we relate to the United Methodist Church, and there's a woman bishop, and then the Presbyterian of Western Reserve, Sharon Core, is the leader there. Okay. Our Bishop Arbins, is a female, and also the UCC, their association general minister. So it's really wonderful, like just the broad cross section of representation that we have. I do think that there's that struggle, like in the pews, with having a female pastor, and it's honestly, it's been evident wherever I go. And it's just something, I'm back to like, you have the opportunity to surprise them.
So question 2, you did a great job. For those of you paying attention still, there's a whole bunch that was edited out if it seems like a big jump in the edits. So question number 2, and I've asked this of everybody.
Mhm.
Your sense of call, was it something that was an immediate aha, oh my gosh, I'm called to be a pastor? Or was
Mhm.
it something that you felt kind of gradually built over time and took you a while to accept? How did that go for you?
Yeah, so this is kind of a funny follow up to the women in ministry kind of
Yeah.
conversation. When I was in high school, I didn't really, and I've always been a part of the ELCA. I didn't realize that women could be pastors until my congregation called one, and I wasn't exactly sure how that was going to go.
Right.
And so then that summer, Pastor Terry Ray Anderson, still a dear friend, she was at my ordination. She came like in the fall. By the summer, we had a regional youth gathering, so it's like a smaller version of the national one. And
Okay.
I lived in Seattle, Washington at the time, so we went to Missoula, Montana. And
Okay.
so we were sitting on the dirty gym floor of the Coliseum, like where the basketball team plays.
Huh.
And there was a really amazing pastor that came to the podium, and he quoted from Ephesians 4:11 and 12. And I've been told since, it was sort of like a burning bush kind of moment for me. Like,
Yeah.
I just had this immediate like what if question. He was saying, some of you like sitting here are going to be pastors, and some of you are going to be lawyers, and some of you are going to be doctors. Like, where are you headed next?
Yeah.
And just I heard pastor, and I just like jolt, like kind of, and I turned to Pastor Terry Ray Anderson, and I said, I think I want to be a pastor. And she was like, that's amazing. And so then
That's awesome.
I know, yeah. And I was 16, and I remember like leaving Seattle, Washington for Kentucky and thinking, what in the world?
Why?
I
Yeah,
I didn't
anyway,
even
we'll go
I
to
didn't even realize
that.
people like to talk about church at school until I hit
Right.
Kentucky. And then like people are showing me like Second Timothy, and like, I got these ideas for you. And I was just sort of like, still just really excited about this good new news that I
Yeah.
had. And then I heard about this college that I could maybe explore going to, because they had a scholarship for people who want to be pastors. And
Oh,
I mean, I
wow.
just like within like hours of coming to Kentucky, it felt like. And so I did go to that college. I graduated from Wittenberg University because of this scholarship that had been granted to Hebron Lutheran Church in 1860.
Wow.
And I mean, just wild.
Oh,
So yeah,
I know.
so very much a burning, like a very like internal kind of Holy Spirit moment.
Do you have a favorite Bible story or Bible verse?
I do. I love the book of Ruth. I love the story of Ruth. I love how she was an outlier and, just kind of this, kind of paved her own trail. I love that the architecture for like the Hebrew word for grace has said loving kindness is within that. And
Yeah.
like the story of restoration, and that the line of Jesus like comes through her family tree, and there's just so much there. So, and it also, it's like it's real, like there's you're talking about like how women's bodies were used, and the challenge of being female, and like how vulnerable you were like
Right.
in that moment of history. And there's
Right.
it's just super rich. I'm a fan of Second Corinthians 5. We are ambassadors for Christ. So I aspire to be a missional minded,
Mhm.
Lutheran. And I mean, I think there's a piece of campus ministry that's really similar to mission development,
Yeah.
and vice versa. And so like this notion of that Christ calls all of us to be ambassadors, to speak well, to, embolden the faith, like that's upon all of us.
Question number 4. You're halfway there. Okay.
Okay.
Halfway there. I'm going to preface it, and I apologize, but I'm prefacing it. Something that I've always felt internally,
Mm-hmm.
believed since college, seminary, but have not always voiced externally,
Mm-hmm.
especially within the congregation, but something I'm trying to go deeper into now myself, and be more
Mm-hmm.
open about my feelings on this topic. Why would you say that it's important for us to be affirming of individuals in the LGBTQIA plus?
Yeah, that celebrate those identities. I
Yeah,
think what
yeah,
you're
yeah.
you're trying to share. Yeah. So it's so significant because we, as people of faith and as pastors, like who get the opportunity to speak on behalf of people of faith, that we celebrate how all that God has created is beloved. So every person that God has created is beloved. So there's no question about how important this is, this work. And so, I don't think you're alone in terms of maybe this is something that you've done the work on internally in your mind and in your heart,
Right.
and with God on your own, and now trying to explore how you convey that Christ is Lord, and that this is a piece of celebrating who Christ is, because this is who Christ loves. So at UpCam, one of the pieces of work that we've done is around celebrating the big 8 identities. And so to celebrate the queer community as beloved is one piece of that. It's also, to be thoughtful about how we are inclusive of all races, of all ethnicities, of all sexual orientations, gender identity, abilities. So if there's, someone that's experiencing some type of a disability, how can we be more inclusive in terms of abilities? And then religion is a part of that, nationality, and then socioeconomic status.
Okay.
I mean, one of the beautiful things about UpCam, and I don't want to take away from your question at all,
No.
that we interacting with students that come from a broad cross section of Cleveland, that live like in the heart of Cleveland, around Tri-C Metro campus. So some people have called Cleveland home for generations of their family. Some are new American families that have just immigrated here, like they're learning ESL and then they're trying to navigate what life is here. Then we have students that have like literally flown in here internationally to come to Case Western Reserve University to study. And, finances is no option really for and you kind of have every kind of thing mixed in between. Truly, I think within the heart of campus ministry and the heart of college life is this opportunity to discover who am I?
Right.
And I think the powerful word about being heard, that, you just as you are beloved, is so significant. And that's what we want to offer to each and to all of our students.
That everyone, that there is no outside of that.
No, there's no outside. And also there's in the moment that we're baptized, those baptismal promises flow over us all the days of our lives. If we wake up, when we're age 13 and thought we were going to be a plumber, and then, by 27, we've decided to hit seminary, baptismal promises still, just in all forms. So I think our church has done a lot of leaning into and discovering what this means. I really appreciate young adults in terms of how fluid their thoughts are. Sometimes they're so fascinating in terms of how fluid they are and how respectful that they also are. In terms of you do you over here and I'm going to do me, and we can navigate this. There's a way.
Question 5. What is it like? Something that I will never know. My wife has repeatedly told me. What is it like being part of a clergy couple, since you and your husband are both pastors?
Yeah, so my husband, Seth Bridger, is a pastor, as just alluding to, and he serves a Lutheran congregation here in Cleveland, Ohio. We met in college. We met at the luncheon for people who want to go to seminary. We are that nerdy. And
it was the two of you.
We actually don't know at what point we met, because we were friends first, and he just was always around, and at various events and stuff like that. And he's kind of got a big personality. That's, an understatement. And he so understated that we started dating our sophomore year, but when he asked me out, I thought it was a group outing. He was planning a big group to go to a gospel concert. And my kids will cringe if they watch this, but we had we had instant messaging, I am with dot matrix. It was all black screen. Jeff remembers this, with little white, and it would blink. And so you could only talk to one person. They had to be on at the same time. And so I was chatting with him and I said, how many people are going? And he was like, huh? and I learned out over instant message, circa This is 1990.
Nobody could use the phone while you were doing it. That's the point.
1996. Oh yeah, no one could use the phone. That it was not a group date, but in fact, like it was just him and I going.
Right.
So that was a shocker that it was a date. I thought it was a group. So it worked out. He and I worked at a couple of different great congregations near Springfield, kind of in tandem at the same time. We did a Christian ministry in the national parks for a year out in Death Valley and Grand Canyon National Parks. And then we went to seminary together where I met Jeff. And I would say it's really wonderful to have a clergy spouse. I mean, I really like him. I'm not going to get rid of him. He's great.
He's a good guy.
I love him. So so I don't really know any other way, but I was thinking about this question. My parents both worked for an airline. So kind of like having like growing up in an ecosystem where both your parents talk the same kind of shop was familiar to me.
Okay.
And I appreciate, on the hard days he gets them, and he celebrates with me. And sometimes it's a challenge to figure out, do you want me to be your spouse or do you want me to be your colleague? Those kinds of challenges. But we've worked together, which was wild and fun. And I guess my cheeky answer to your question would be, we tell the same stories, sometimes about 5 or 6 beats apart from each other. And so the people that work with us probably have the hardest time because they're just like, they're repeating themselves all the same time because we have a lot of shared history now. We've been married 21 years. Yeah. So honestly, we will tell you the same stories. Like, I don't know if Jeff's experienced a phenomena, but
I don't know
if it will happen. It'll happen.
Fantastic answer. Now, question number 6 is the last one. These ones are a little bit more playful. So knowing a little bit about you and Seth's history and what you guys have done and parts of the world and country you've seen, the last question is this. If you could rendezvous with Jesus, if Jesus did the dot matrix, send something to you, and you were like, how many people are going, Jesus? And he's like, it's just you and me. But if you could pick somewhere to be able to spend, let's say, an hour with Jesus out of the different places you've been, what place would you say, like, this is where I'd want to sit and hang out with Jesus?
Well, I'm a fan of traveling, and I've been cooped up because of COVID for how many months now. So let's go big. I would want to go to the Holy Land. I would love Jesus to give me like a tour of, here's Palestine, here's Galilee, here's the sea, like let's see all the things in an hour. We can't do well, we can if it's
I'll give you a longer
matrix. Can you give me a day, Jeff? Yeah. Okay, give me a day. That's on my list. I'm excited to be able to travel again with peers, with students. I know campus ministries have been like really blessed by that. We have this really amazing congregation down in Fairlawn, Ohio, that's been underwriting a mission trip that we haven't been able to take. We're fingers crossed this is the year, so we're real excited to, experience those moments with students. So.
Well, I want to say thank you to you.
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
You didn't just live up to, you exceeded my expectations. And so thank you for your marriage with Seth. God love him. And he would say the same thing. He would say, I'm blessed to have Shelley as my wife and my partner. For your ministry at UpCam, for the youth that you work with, that all the stuff that you do, that I can only imagine. I know my experience campus ministry really helped me grow, and that you're contributing to that is such a vital time in people's lives.
Yeah, that's the hope. That's the prayer. Yeah.
That's so awesome. So thank you for that. I hope you get to travel soon.
Me too.
And make sure to tell your boys I said hi.
Okay, I'll do that. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much.
Yes. Say hi to your family and stay safe. And I hope brighter days are ahead.
Absolutely.